All right, radio listeners, today we have a very interesting guest in Victor Marx. He's a wonderful evangelist, an amazing martial artist. You can find his website at www.victormarx.com. And Victor, we'd like to welcome you to the Conscience of Kansas radio program.
Well, thank you, and it's great to be on your show.
Well, you know, Victor, the way we learned about you is one of our radio listeners came out and sent me some emails, and he said, "Have you checked out this guy that has this amazing gun disarm? And you got to see it. You got to check it out." And so we went there and we looked at it, and then really discovered an amazing evangelistic program you have going on with All Things Possible Ministries. And I was wondering if you would tell our Kansas listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, you bet. And first of all, to the listeners, my heartfelt, my heart's breaking for you guys with all the crazy weather y'all been having. So know y'all are in our prayers. You know what? Just what you alluded to with the gun disarm. Right now, I hold the world's record for the world's fastest gun disarm, which is it's when somebody holds a pistol to my head with the hammer back, and all they have to do is pull the trigger. My hands are by my waist, and what I do is I disarm them, point the weapon back at them, and have the magazine out. And it's been timed at around 0.8 of a second. And all that to say is we use that as a vehicle platform. Martial arts is my background as an instructor for many years. We've trained over 30 world champions. I've worked with military from Delta Force to Force Recon and the Marines to SEAL team operators, et cetera, et cetera. And we're grateful to God for the skill sets that I've been given and trained in. But in the past 10 years, we focused our effort of using that, again, as a platform to reach hurting and troubled youth and people in general who have suffered from traumatic experiences that affect them today.
Yeah, very interesting. And when I look at the videos of the work you do, it really appears that you have a passion for reaching out to teenagers and youths here in America. Is that right?
This is true. That's kind of been my focus because, there are so many kids who are hurting. And we visit them in lockdown and youth prisons and juvenile centers, as well as foster care group homes and actually high schools around the country. Because right now, 1 out of 3 girls will be molested by the time she's 18. And recent truth that has come out is 1 out of every 5 to 6 boys will too. And when that happens, when abuse happens, whether it's sexual, physical, emotional abuse to a kid, it really taints their view of God. It skews their understanding of complete right and wrong because things are perverted. And oftentimes it just brings so much confusion, anger, bitterness. And, I feel like we're on a mission to reach every hurting youth in this country with the good news of Jesus Christ, with the hope and healing that he offers. And I tell kids, it's never about perfection because, we live in a fallen world, but at least the direction of your life can change. And you can start a new journey. You don't have to stay stuck. I mean, just today, I was watching the news of another young man who was building a bomb and was arrested and arraigned. He's a teenager building a bomb to explode at his school and shoot people. And I thank God that his, evil efforts were thwarted. But there's so many kids hurting out there, and honestly, not a lot of people reaching them.
Well, I think you're right, and I think there are folks out there that if they would get some of the tools, if they would be educated on just what do you do to reach out to youth in need, it would help. Your work really rings a bell with me. I'm a former police officer for years. I was on the drug task force before I became a radio guy, and day in and day out, I would deal with teenagers. And I was looking through your videos, and I was thinking, there were only 2 times in my career that I ever wept as a police officer. You go on every day. I mean, you really toughen yourself up before you go out there. All kinds of crazy things are going to happen. I remember this teenage boy who was 14. He was 10 when I first started dealing with him. He had terrible abusive father. And I remember the father telling me, I don't care about this kid. He's a nuisance to me. He's in my way. And I was trying to deal with it. I was basically, Victor, threatening the dad with all the legal things that police can do to be a good dad. You need to be a good dad. And I was frustrated, and I went out to my patrol car and just wept.
Yep.
And,
yep.
The criminal justice system has a tendency, a lot of good law enforcement folks out there, but they have a tendency to write off these kids. You say, well, you can only do so much here, you can only do so much there, and you get this feeling of helplessness and frustration, and you watch these good kids going down the wrong road. And, it would have, I wish I'd had some of the tools and some of the thinkings and the things that you talk about just on your YouTube videos.
Right.
I don't know if that rings a bell back with you, but it seems like that you kind of lived some of that story in your youth.
I did. And first let me say that warriors do weep. And I appreciate that about you and your service as a law enforcement officer. And you know what? It's our system is broken at best. It's starting from the top down. Our administration is under fire. IRS to the Benghazi. We live in a fallen world.
Yeah.
And as much as I appreciate police officers, it's funny, but you go to any department and they've got locks on their lockers.
Yeah.
Because cops. So it's we live in a fallen world. I experienced and I've seen the evil and the enemy up close. The nutshell is my father was a drug dealer and a pimp, and as a kid, he didn't claim me. My mother would marry 6 times. I went to 14 schools, 17 houses, and at 5 years old, I was left in a commercial cooler by a child molester for dead.
Wow.
And so deeply affected me. I started drugs in the 6th grade. I saw things kids shouldn't have to see. I experienced things no one should have to experience, especially children. It left my mind fractured and broke in many ways. I ended up having to see a trauma specialist, 123 visits in 9 months. They put me on Depakote, Depakine, Prozac, Zoloft, lithium, Buspar, even as an adult. There was huge struggles, and it wasn't until the combination of knowing that Jesus Christ loved me, that God did not cause this evil to happen, but it was man's choice, and then also through good counseling for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, because people who've struggled with trauma in their past, you can't outrun it, you can't out-success it, you can't outgrow it. It will come and it will affect you, varying degrees from minor to acute. And that's where, we've been grateful that the investment in my life has at least put me in a place to bring hope and be an inspiration to others. And you mentioned the YouTube channel. Right now, I think as of today, we have 11.8 million views on our channel. And I don't even know if you know this, but the film that was made on my life story, we have a book and a film, but this film, it was debuted in different theaters throughout the United States last year. It's been translated in 15 languages. It's so effective in bringing hope to people for the worst things that could happen in a great way, and certainly not it's not cheesy at all. It's a well-done film, a documentary film. But on Father's Day, we're doing a world premiere debut on YouTube.
Wow.
And people will be able to watch that at no cost and share it with people. And we're looking forward to great impact.
Well, getting an impact, that's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Victor Marx. You can find his website at victormarx.com. We have it linked up at our master website to make it easy for folks to look at this stuff. We've been posting YouTube videos for many days now and getting the awes and, disbelief in your physical abilities. But I'm amazed that in today's world where political correctness is just running rampant, I call it liberalism, you can call it what you want, you're able to get into these high schools and get in front of a bunch of kids at one time and share a very positive message. Is it as amazing to you as it is to me that you're allowed in today to talk?
Yes. Just flat out, yes. What's amazing is the dichotomy and even the hypocrisy in our state and federal system that they won't allow you to talk about God at a public school, but yet put me in front of 600 kids who are incarcerated at a juvenile facility. They'll let me preach Jesus, God, Buddha, anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't care. They're like, these kids, there's nothing we can do, so give them God. And I'm like, well, if you boneheads would allow it in public schools, if we wouldn't have taken prayer out, if we would be teaching morality and the values of the Ten Commandments to our children, we wouldn't have such an upside-down society with kids. But nonetheless, I follow the policies and protocol to get in, and I will do a motivational, inspirational message. I even talk about, anti-bullying, drugs, and then even purity. I speak to the point of purity, which, I don't have to bring in Scripture because truth is truth. But then afterwards, after my message, we set up huge tables, and I allow the kids to either get a free copy of my book or the film. And I think this last school I went to, there were 2,000 kids in the assembly. And, of course, administrators are thinking, well, these kids, they're not going to want spiritual stuff. This is a wild public high school. This last facility, over 1,500 copies of my film were given out freely to these kids.
Wow.
Which present the gospel, which bring hope. And so yeah, we're excited and stoked. We believe the secret to all of this is the power of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing I could appeal to your listeners for, is to be part of our prayer warrior list. They can go to our website and sign up for the email. They can track with me on Facebook. We need people praying for us because we feel like we're the tip of the spear. We're at the edge of hell, catching and reaching kids, and stopping them from becoming the future murderers, rapists, other child molesters, killers. I sit face to face with these kids, and we need people praying for us, and that don't cost anything but time and willpower.
Yeah, well said, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we're speaking to Victor Marx. We've got his website, victormarx.com, up at IbbetsonUSA.com for all of our radio listeners and all our stations. You really ought to check it out, what they're doing. Amazing guy, extremely entertaining. But the entertainment that you do with all this amazing skill you have physically, it gets people's attention, especially young people, gets their attention to what you're talking about, and then you share a story that really resonates with so many people. Even resonates with someone like me that grew up in a what you say, quote unquote, normal home, but through my job I saw a lot of the struggles for teenagers, and I wept for them, and so I'm very proud of what you're doing. It's very interesting. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today and to share a little bit of your story for folks. Again, we recommend they go to victormarx.com and check out the website. Victor, do you have any parting thoughts before we sign off with you today?
Well, I would just say, what we do, although we're reaching the youth of America, I'm talking about adults who struggle with trauma, military veterans who are either in or have been in. This is something that will help and encourage them. We see it by the boatloads. So have them, you guys just track with us. Again, go to Facebook or Twitter, any of the social media, YouTube, write to our website, and we'd love to pray for y'all, help you. And again, in June, on Father's Day, we will do the world premiere of my film on YouTube that currently has over 11 million views. It's both entertaining, like you said. There's skills demos on there, but the power of the story is what's setting people free. So thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor to visit with you, my friend.